The Commentary Booth is a show for media lovers by media lovers just like you. If you want to support the show, go to jamiapsmedia.com. Welcome to the Commentary Booth, the ultimate weekly entertainment recap and review show. My name is Jamie Apps, and each week I'll be joined by a rotating cast of co-hosts to run you through the entertainment media we've consumed during the week. Along the way, we'll provide you with insightful commentary and reviews. This week I'm joined by a teacher and travel blogger who lists their favourite movie as Fight Club and favourite TV show as Survivor. Welcome back to the show, Buddy McClelland.
Thanks for having me back.
How is everything on your end of the world?
Pretty good. Getting used to, I guess, the new mask culture now. I'm walking around Woolies and seeing people just wearing masks in all different shapes, sizes and fashions and interesting ways.
People are actually doing that in Wollongong? People down here are not doing that.
Yeah, some. Like it's. I feel like you go into Woolies and there's heaps of people generally are wearing them. Like you'll always look down the aisle and there'll be people, and it's kind of got to the stage now. I feel like it's people that they think they're too cool to wear it, and they're the kind of the frowned upon ones now. Where I feel like at the start it was all the people that were wearing masks were the ones that people looked at as weird. Now I think it's the non-mask wearers look weird. I don't get why people don't wear them. Like some people are like, oh, I can't breathe in it and this and that. I feel like a little like some weird Wild West bandit about to rob a stagecoach or something. I get like this real Wild West vibe about me when I go in there. I mean, all I'm doing is going to like pick up my parcel from Australia Post, but I don't know. I just don't get that feeling of the mask restricting me like other people.
Yeah, I don't either. I actually quite like wearing my mask, hence why I got those custom commentary booth ones made up.
Yeah, I'm ready for it. That's going to be a new thing where people advertise and have like, it'll be like a mask fashion thing, I reckon. I don't see them going anywhere soon. It's kind of weird when you have to find, like, are you finding when you see people that are wearing them, like, you know, the woolly stuff have to wear them, that sometimes their voices, like I guess they have to sound happy when they're at work and ask you how you're going and stuff, but because you can only see their eyes, they look really angry, but they sound really happy. It's like, it's really weird trying to read the body language of them when you can only just see the top of their head.
Yeah, you miss that. The main indicator of someone's mood. You don't see their smiles.
Yeah, exactly. And I guess they're kind of, when you think about it, people from Woolies or whatever, they're kind of forced smiles. So now you can't see the forced fake smile at the bottom. All you see is the honest, angry eyes at the top that they're stuck at work.
Yeah, that's pretty funny. And yeah, like now seeing people in like the paper masks, I'm like, come on. Everybody knows you have to wear them now. Like just shell out the $10-15 and get a nice one.
Well, have you had to have a test yet?
Oh, thankfully, no. Heard they're horrid.
Oh, Anne and I got like a sore throat a couple of weeks back, and we're like, probably should do the right thing. Like, we knew it probably wasn't going to be that, and it wasn't. But we went in to get the test, and I think there's a real difference between if you get it done via a referral with a private system versus going to we did the hospital clinic one and just did like the public one, so you just go in there and do it. So I think a lot of those people with the paper ones, they force you to put on a paper mask, like the blue ones, when you go into that hospital setting.
Yep. Yeah, the proper surgical ones.
Yeah, and I think that's where a lot of people are getting them from. So we went in there and did that one because we got like the black ones or whatever. And we went in there and did that one, and it hurt. Like, I don't want to discourage people from doing it. It's obviously the right thing to do, and 20,000 odd people are doing it every day or whatever, but it stings. Like they go, it's going to be slightly uncomfortable. Just put your head back against the wall so you're fully head tilted back, and feels like they're trying to poke your brain.
Yeah, I haven't had the COVID one, but I've had multiple, like just regular flu swabs, and they suck.
It's at the end of it, she's like, oh, there's a tissue, and you think you would use the tissue for your nose because they've just jammed a rod up there and wiped it around the lower part of your cerebellum, whatever's there. But you need it for your eyes. Your eyes just water so bad.
Yeah, you're just instantly like crying.
Yeah. And like the more you tense up, the worse it is. So you just got to do that. Like, go to your happy place. Go to your happy place. It doesn't take that long, and it's obviously for the right reason. just stings.
Yeah, it's like when I had I had to have the tube like put down my throat, and getting that done sucked like so bad. Like I threw up multiple times when they tried to do it, and then they were like, "Okay, we're going to get the surgeon to come in and do it," and he just popped straight in, didn't have any issues. I was like, "Why do we not just go straight to this guy so people don't have this bad experience leading up to it?"
Oh, that sounds horrible. Give me, actually, you know what? Give me the COVID test heaps of times rather than a tube down my throat.
Yeah, don't get the tube. They're terrible.
In saying that, though, I would way prefer a blood test over that brain poke.
Yeah, it'd be so much nicer if they could just find a nice, simple 2-minute test. Walk in, spit in this cup. Yep, you're sweet. There you go.
Just spit over there and see what the colour comes back. But they had, I think the private one, though, it seems like that you could do the drive-up one, and they do like a saliva swab. So I think it's probably, if you're going to go get one up, my hot tip, I probably wouldn't go and do the public one again. I'd be trying to get the phone referral and go and get the swab in the drive-through scenario.
Yeah, get the nice, friendly people to do it.
Yeah.
So what have you been checking out whilst you were recovering from getting your brain poked?
I had a few different things. I got a new phone plan recently from Telstra, and they stuck me onto a free, that's one of those ongoing things eventually, but at the moment, a free trial of their streaming service called Binge.
Okay, yep.
So it's basically, it seems like it's, when I put my login details, it's the same login as what you'd have if you have KO Sport. So I'm assuming it's just Foxtel's kind of background streaming service, and it has pretty much all of the it has pretty much all of the Foxtel shows on there, which is pretty cool, because I guess KO had all the Foxtel sports, and this is now all the shows.
Yeah, from what I can gather, it's Foxtel trying to diversify, so they have regular Foxtel where you get the box in your house, and then as part of that you also get Foxtel, I think it's called Go, which is basically, if you have a Foxtel box at home, you get a login that then lets you access everything that you have on your Foxtel account.
Yeah.
And then on the side, they now have KO for just sports, and this Binge for people that don't want the sports, they don't want anything else, they just want like the core main channels that you would want on a Foxtel package.
Yeah, well, I think that's the way that Foxtel has to go. Because, I mean, we used to have it, and then I had it here for a long time, and just Anne and I had it. But, I mean, the price was phenomenal. It used to be really good when you didn't quite have the technology and the data and everything. You could stream everything on a big phone screen. But it just got way too expensive for what you were getting.
Yeah, it's ridiculous how expensive it is. I think my nan and pop still have Foxtel just because with them it's simple and easy. And I think they're paying like $99 or $100 and something a month because they have the basic package, and then I think they have a movie package and sport. So it's just costing them a fortune.
Yeah, well, my mum and my stepdad are the same. Well, it's just what they're used to, and they don't want to switch across to other things. But I mean, my mum and my stepdad have it, and just because they're used to it and they've always had it, and I think they've got it at $70 a month or something, and they still think that that's a really good deal. And they still, on top of that, have a Stan account and a Netflix account and everything anyway. It's just the easing them into it. But I think the way that they've gone with KO is really good, because that was what I basically really missed the most, was the sport. But then this Binge, I probably wouldn't have got it unless Telstra signed me up. I got 9 months for free because I've been with Telstra for so long. So I think they start you off of a 6-month free trial. But if you've been with them for a while, I end up getting a free extra 3 months. So 9 months for free is pretty huge, which is cool. So I started picking up different shows. I started watching Westworld. So it's got like Emmy Award nominations.
You're on that train now.
I am on that train into Westworld. So have you seen it?
Yeah, I've watched every episode.
Every episode. Okay, so don't give me spoilers because I only just got through season 1. But I know for people that haven't watched it, and tell me what you think. I reckon it's kind of like a sci-fi Western drama concoction. Like it's really a weird but interesting mix.
That absolutely sums up season 1, yes.
Okay, oh, it changes. See, now I'm even more hooked. So to describe it, it's kind of like a theme park for the rich, which I think is really cool. I guess at first I got a bit confused whether it was like a virtual thing or not, but it seems like they go in on this train that takes them into like basically a Wild West theme park where rich humans can interact with super, super lifelike robots that feel pain and everything like that, and they have basically drama interacting with those robots. And then, not to give too much away, it kind of takes a turn where the robots start to develop consciousness.
Yep.
But it reminded me mostly, getting to the end of season 1. Did you ever watch the episode of The Simpsons where they went to Itchy and Scratchy Land?
Yep. Yeah, and the robots start to revolt.
And all the itchy and scratchy robots go wild and start revolting against the humans.
Yep.
It's kind of like the ultra dramatic version of Itchy and Scratchy Land.
That's the funniest tie-in description I've heard of Westworld ever. But it makes total sense.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, like the Itchy and Scratchy robots weren't quite as advanced, but same deal.
How did you find the first season? Did you find it difficult to sort of understand what was going on? Because I know it does a lot of time jumping and having things appear like they're happening at the same time, and then at the end it reveals that they were all different times.
Yeah, spoilers, but yeah, I did have a hard time with that at first. Like it's not a show you can watch with your phone in your hand.
Definitely not.
Because you get really confused really quick. And I actually had to find myself a couple of times on forums being like, episode 4 explained. And I was like, oh, okay, that makes a bit more sense. That makes a bit more sense. But then a lot of their plot twists, like you said, they turn out to be alternate timelines being shown at the same time, like memories that are happening at the same time as something else.
Yep.
Which all kind of makes sense at the end, but you definitely do get really confused in parts because you feel like there's a lot more characters than there actually is.
Yeah, there definitely isn't as many as they make out.
Yeah.
I think it's one of those shows that it sort of behooves people to go back and watch season 1 a second time after finishing it so that you can sort of pick up on all those cues and stuff that you might have missed the first time around.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I've only just got to the end of season 1, so I could definitely watch it again, but now you've got me interested. I want to go on and watch like the next parts of it and see where they take it. It's really cool. Like, the way that they've approached it with the robots just being so human. You almost even just at a bare minimum level find yourself just wondering who is and who isn't a robot. And even some of the characters that know they're human find themselves questioning if they're robots.
Yeah.
But, I mean, and robot doesn't give it justice. Like you say robot, but like they're 3D printing bleeding humans. Like it's crazy.
Yeah. Like until you see their brain, you have no idea that it's not a human being, which is be such a weird thing being in the theme park. Like it's sort of making you feel like you're actually killing a person.
Yeah,
and I mean, kill someone or rape someone or whatever.
Yeah, oh, and that's what you're getting to there as well. Is it's kind of has a real comment on human nature that runs through it as well. I think like it's this Wild West theme park where you can go and be anyone and do anything and do all the like whatever you want and just have an adventure. And it seems like 9 times out of 10, people's first response is to basically murder and rape and just go back to being these horrible, horrible people. There are some hero characters in there that aren't like that. But most of the humans that go in there seem to want to just do the wrong thing.
Yeah, instantly go down the black hat path.
The black hat path, yeah. And even the ones that start white hat turn black hat.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I'll be interested to see what you think of season 2.
Yeah, okay. Well, if I get stuff like anything, Binge is probably a pretty appropriate name for it because I smashed through that first season. Yeah, good cast though. I really like the cast. Ed Harris and Anthony Hopkins. Yeah, and they're just the 2 biggest. There's heaps of people in there. I was like, wow.
Yeah, they add some big ones in season. Definitely in season 3. I can't remember if they add anyone big in season 2. But season 3 definitely has a big name join the cast.
Okay, ready. binge me away.
Now you've got to binge through the next few before the next episode you're on.
Yeah. Well, I really like that with binge too. Like, it gave me access to shows that I might not have otherwise seen. Like, it does have different content, which is nice.
Yeah, it's not all the same stuff you've seen before. Or
Yeah, and it's not relying on, like, I feel like that's the hard thing for places like Netflix or Stan or whatever now, is that all these other bigger companies have kind of realized that, like Disney Plus, for example, they've realized that they're better off making their own streaming service rather than selling their content to Netflix. So they're taking everything away, and it's relying on Netflix to make their own stuff now, which sometimes is really good, but other times can kind of lack a bit of quality. So it's nice to be able to have what Foxtel get, which is like Emmy award-winning shows like that, or Emmy-nominated shows like that.
yeah, I find with Netflix it's hard to find the good stuff now because there is just so much on there.
Yeah. And like I said, they're becoming heavily reliant on making their own.
Speaking of companies making their own, Apple TV put out their newest show this week, which I stupidly thought was a movie, and it's not. It's Ted Lasso. Have you seen any promo for it?
No, well, I'm not big on. I'm an Android guy. I'm not big on the Apple stuff.
Okay, so Apple TV Plus have put out this show starring Jason Sudeikis. He is Ted Lasso, and he is a Division II American football coach.
Yeah,
who gets recruited by a fictional English soccer team, AFC Richmond, to become their manager.
Yeah.
So it's like that fish out of water story where Ted is learning not just about English culture and vernacular, but also soccer itself, because he's never coached it before. So you can imagine the chaos and hilarity that ensues because of that.
Yeah, I've been around some coaches that have never coached before, and chaos and hilarity does ensue.
Coach Brett Kerr?
No, he's good. Don't drag him in that basket.
My favourite line from the show was when he's learning about what soccer players call, well, in America they're cleats, in England they're boots. And then his coach, his sidekick coach, goes, so if you got sacked while putting your cleats in the trunk of a car, what would that be? He goes, you'd get the boot while putting the boots in the boot.
Oh, I like that. I feel weird when I hear cleats.
Yeah, such a weird thing to call football boots. So yeah, Ted is hired by Rebecca, the owner of the club, and she gained ownership of the club after a messy divorce from her husband, who had been cheating on her quite a bit. And instead of wanting the club to succeed, she's hired Ted because she's realised that AFC Richmond was the only thing that her husband actually truly loved. So she wants to run it into the ground and fail spectacularly and sort of rub salt into his wounds. Hence why she's hired this crazy American football coach he's just the nicest guy, and it's funny just watching him learn about soccer and try to understand how it happens and what's going on and all of that sort of stuff.
Yeah, I'm just looking at it now. Like, Jason Sudeikis is a really good guy for that role.
Yeah, absolutely. He's awesome in the show. And what you find is because he's such a nice guy, he's got this really great ability to build team bonds and relationships between players. And so they've only put out 3 episodes so far, and I watched them all instantly as soon as they came out. And what he does is he brings like the bitter rivals in the locker room together. He starts to make Rebecca she begins to like him, even though she's like trying to be standoffish and she's trying to be cold. And he does it by having biscuits with the boss as his daily morning routine when he rocks up to the club. Yeah, it's just this really fun, light-hearted show, and I think it's going to be like one of their biggest shows, like Morning Wars was incredible, and I think that was because it was such a like dramatic show with a huge cast, whereas this one is just it's a fun sitcom.
How do you feel about it being released weekly?
I would have liked them to put it all out because I really enjoyed the first 3 episodes, but Apple did this before with the morning show and their other shows that they've put out, and it's not terrible. You get used to it. With the episodes only being half an hour, though, I think that's going to make it a bit tougher because it's going to be... You're going to watch it and be like, oh, that's it. It's done. Now I've got to wait
I feel like
a whole
it's weird
nother
like
week.
that.
At least when it's an hour, you sort of feel like you've got a bit of a decent fix.
Yeah. Well, that was the thing. Like, it's you either release it all at once, but then you run the risk of doing like an Orange is the New Black, and everyone kind of just forgets while you go and try and make a whole other season, and everyone kind of gets over your show. Where you release it weekly and then hope that people don't kind of just peter out and lose interest.
Yeah, and by putting it weekly, I think that forces them to make sure that every episode
it keeps you hooked.
Is a big one. Like, you can't just have... You can't do like what Netflix does and they'll put out a season with 10 episodes and then 2 of them are just duds.
Yeah. Oh, it sounds really good. I'm jealous. I might have to get Apple Plus now. Are they running a 9-month free trial?
I think you can get a month, maybe.
Ooh.
If you buy an iPhone or a new Apple product, you get 12 months.
Don't say that. My Samsung's listening.
Buy a new iPad. Buy an iPad.
It's all right. I'll wait for it all to come out and then I'll get my free month and then I'll watch it all in one big hit. That's my plan.
The funny part of it is it's based on... When the NBC got the rights to the Premier League, they did like a couple of commercials with this Ted Lasso character. And for them to then build a whole TV show off that is like, that's just funny to me as well.
Wait, so they started him as an ad and then built the show?
Yeah, Ted Lasso was literally just this silly character that they were putting on to promote that, hey, NBC has the Premier League now. Here's this crazy scenario where an English guy American has to coach this English team, and now it's spun off into this show and it has way more depth and better than it has any right to be, really.
Good, I love that. Follow the idea. People like it. Go for it.
And for Premier League fans, you'll notice it's filmed at Selhurst Park, Crystal Palace's stadium, and Crystal Palace show up in the first game.
Got the cameos already.
I don't think there were any actual players, but it like references Crystal Palace.
Yeah.
That's as a soccer fan, I think you'd enjoy that one.
Yeah, it looks good.
What else did you check out?
I went on to watch a new movie. So I rented this one on the Google Movie Store again. I watched Resistance.
I've sort of seen bits and pieces of it. I've never seen the whole movie though.
So I don't know how you feel about mimes. Like, when you see a mime? I used to get really creeped out, and this movie kind of changed that for me. I have a newfound respect for mime.
It's a big call.
Huge. They're creepy.
It's a weird art form. You got to admit, it's a weird art form.
It is, but this is all based around Marcel Marceau. So he was a mime that was around during World War II, and he during the war worked with basically what were Jewish scouts. So he is French, and he worked with Jewish scouts and the French resistance to basically save the lives of Jewish children that were being smuggled out of Nazi-controlled areas during World War II. So he's played by Jessie Eisenberg, the twin and stunt double of Michael Cera, who I still get confused all the time. But so he basically uses all his mime skills and his acting skills at first to calm down a lot of Jewish children that have basically been taken into an orphanage and hidden away to protect them, but they've had their parents murdered in front of them and like all those horrific things that happen to Jewish children and Jewish families during the Holocaust. And he starts by kind of using his mime skills and his acting skills to kind of, I guess, break down the walls of the kids a little bit and try and help them process a lot of grief and panic as things are still going wrong around them. And he uses that to calm them down. But then that kind of develops into him helping them through these sort of scout lessons, go into different forests and things, and shows them. And they do training drills of how to hide from the Nazis if they were to look for you, and climb into trees and the way to hide. And he actually twists his acting skills around. And like looking at Marcel Marceau, he's a very well-respected actor after this. And I really didn't know too much about him until I'd watched it. But using his acting skills, not just as a way to entertain people, but as to a way to protect and save people. Which I guess was really, really handy then. If you weren't going to be someone that was directly fighting the Nazis, even though there's parts where he does, to be able to use your skills to trick the Nazis and to trick children almost into being more comfortable around people that are looking for them and trying to kill them in order to save them was really interesting, and something I didn't even really... I know people help the children, but I didn't realize people like him use their skills like that specifically to do that.
Yeah, when I first saw that it was coming out, I had no idea that it was based on him. And then when I found that out, I was like, that makes it a little bit more interesting.
Yeah, when at the end it has an actual number. I think he directly saved over 70 kids himself by... He used to dress them up as Christian scouts. So these are all Jewish kids. He was Jewish. They taught them all basically Catholic songs and got them to act differently. He forged their documents. So he was an actual painting style, sort of an artist as well. And back then, the documents being the way they were, he would manipulate the writing and the letters and things on there. And he forged people's passports in the French Resistance and save people by doing that. But he directly sort of dressed up as a scout leader, and he had the kids dress up as scouts as well, and he would train them out to get them across the Swiss border and walk them through the forest in the cold dead of night and have to run and hide from the Nazis and stuff that were following them, and basically just trying to kill all of them. So yeah, a massive newfound respect for mime. It was the only thing that got me. And he kind of grows into it on the way through, but Jessie Eisenberg having to do mime to portray Marcel Marceau is a pretty hard task, I think. And he tried his best, but they're probably the only times where I kind of got pulled out of the story was watching him try and do different mime skills.
Yeah, when I saw the poster, I was like, I had no idea because the poster doesn't really reflect that it's about Marceau. It's just Jessie running from Nazi flags.
Yeah.
But I was like, oh, it's just some random World War II movie. And when I found out the basis, I was like, oh, okay, now I'm interested. But yeah, watching him do mime would definitely break me out of it.
It does a bit, but then in the end, you have so much respect for Marceau and what he did that you're just kind of like into it. Like you just do your weird mime, Jessie, because Marcel Marceau deserves a good interpretation. But it was nice to see something different as well. I watched Midway, maybe a week or so ago as well, like the American Battle of Midway through World War II against the Japanese, and that was kind of that. Like we said when we talked about kind of the Long Tan movie, they deserve to be respected and they deserve to have their stories told. But I think the way that they tell those stories, like in Midway, that really glorified American war hero story, is kind of getting a bit overdone, especially if they do it in the way that Midway did it, where it was a lot of so CGI and just real over-the-top bravado. And this is kind of the opposite of that. It's kind of a more underdone story. It's less violent and more about what's important and protecting people and not just trying to hurt other people. It was about trying to save people and trying to use the skills that you had and adapt and kind of overcome what was pretty horrible stuff. And just the way that Marcel Marceau did it is just incredible. There's a different story that I hadn't heard. And yeah, even down to, I didn't realize that the churches in France at the time were taking on Jewish children into their orphanages, knowing that they were Jewish. But everyone was trying to work together so much to protect the children that it didn't matter what denomination they came from, and things like that I didn't even realize happened. It was just really interesting and really nice to see in a really sad sort of a war story.
Yeah, it was built more around the emotions rather than the moments, from the sounds of it.
Yeah, and there's definitely scenes in there that you get that feeling of tenseness, where the kind of, there was a bloke named Klaus Barbie that was the SS commander, and he goes basically hunting these kids. And you get that feeling of, oh, please don't cry, kid, don't cry, kid. They're going to know, don't break. And you see sort of Masso's character making them laugh in moments where they should be terrified. Like, this guy's trying to kill you and he's standing right in front of you, and he's in the background pulling faces and stuff and making these kids that should be terrified distracted and laugh. And without the kid knowing, he's saving their life by doing that. And it's just, it was really interesting and really nice, and yeah, definitely well worth a watch. I enjoyed it. It was just something different to see from a mime actor, which I didn't think ever did anything other than pretend to be in a box and pull on an invisible rope. To be able to do something like that is just incredible.
Might have to check that one out. Wasn't too sure about it when I first saw it. Sounds like it might be worth a watch.
Different, but as long as you go in there knowing it's going to be a little bit different and still of value, then yeah, I would 100% recommend that one and that sort of a story over that Midway sort of a big explosions and guns going off story.
So yeah, I continued my soccer binge on the weekend. I watched the new Anelka documentary as well.
Okay.
It focuses on Nicolas Anelka, who was sort of a pretty controversial French footballer who seemed to consistently fall out with clubs shortly after arriving, basically. And it's a pretty one-sided documentary trying to paint him in a positive light, which obviously when he's the main character, it's always going to be that way. But it was interesting, but it didn't really shatter any preconceptions or anything that I had. The biggest shock, though, was seeing Didier Drogba bald.
Wow.
Yeah.
Is that current?
It was relatively current. This is a 2020 movie, so it was obviously filmed recently, and seeing him pop up, I was like, the hell is that Drogba? Why has he got no hair? What's going on here?
Hey, it happens to the best of us.
Yeah, he was always heading that way, I'm pretty sure, as well.
Didier Drogba can do what he wants. Wasn't it him that, didn't he donate like 50% of his match fees or whatever back to his home village the whole time?
I'm not sure, but it sounds like something he would do.
Yeah, I swear he was earning like mega bucks, and it was a big percentage of his fees, which, I mean, they can't really spend anyway when you're earning £200,000 a week. Yeah, but I know that he was sending a lot of it back to help his hometown back from wherever he was from, and really helping his community. So you do whatever you want with your bald head, Didier.
Yeah, good on him. I think the biggest thing that the documentary showed was that, like, just the pressure of football can sort of take away the joy of the game, because Anelka retired relatively young, really. And it sort of all happened after the controversy at the 2010 World Cup. Did you hear about what happened with the French team during that World Cup?
Oh, I can't remember.
So basically what happened is they picked this team. The coach, Raymond Domenech, kind of just, he picked players but didn't really build any rapport with them, and they all felt like, leading into the World Cup, they all felt this is leading to disaster, like something really bad is going to happen. They lost their first game. I think they drew their second game 0-0 or something, and they needed to win this third game to get through, and it's just, they were, I think, 0-0, or they were down, and at halftime, the coach singled out Anelka, basically saying, you're not doing enough. Why are you coming so deep? And Anelka took that personally and was accused of saying back to the coach, "Go F yourself, you dirty son of a whore."
Wow.
Which was then plastered all over the newspapers the next day, basically saying that, yes, he definitely did say this. He was taken off at halftime during that game and then never played again for France.
Go out big.
But it later came out he never said that. And even the manager admitted in a later interview, after already saying that, yes, he said it, like a few years down the line, he was like, no, he never actually said that.
Weird.
And yeah, that just basically totally ruined any chance that Anelka had of playing for France again. Basically then just decided, that's it, I don't really want to, I'm not in this anymore, and just moved to Abu Dhabi to live with his family.
You're never going to have a good time if you don't get along as a team. Like, if you can't pull it together and respect each other, you can have a bad team, but if everyone gets along and wants to do the same thing and feels like they care about each other, you can play really well, and you can have a team of superstars like the French do. And if you don't get along with the coach or you don't get along with whoever, it's just not going to work. Yeah,
these guys all seem to like enjoy each other's company. They just weren't meshing as a team, and the coach wasn't doing anything to help that, and it just ended up being terrible for everyone involved.
They're always kind of like that, those soccer documentaries. I remember I watched there was the Karim Benzema documentary, and there's a Sergio Ramos one out there as well, isn't there? But they always, like, if they're making a documentary about a person, you're never going to get the full story on them. It's always going to be slanted towards them being the hero, or in his case, maybe the victim in the situation.
Yeah, it kind of just makes it, like, obviously it's called Anelka Misunderstood, and it really just does try to make it that, he just was a passionate football player, and that just didn't gel with everybody, and that's the reasons that he kept having to leave clubs.
Maybe it was more Anelka running out of money.
From the sounds of it, he was paid pretty well, no matter what. But my favourite quotes from the doco are probably ones that are going to annoy you, just that's why they were my favourite.
Go for it.
Anelka said he had to leave Arsenal for a, quote, better club when he moved to Real Madrid.
Mm.
Thought that would sting a little. And then upon arriving at Madrid, he finally understood what it meant to be a star. But then he immediately hated that.
You know, you're talking about a guy that has a documentary named after him that says Nicolas Anelka misunderstood. So he obviously misunderstood which was the great club, went to the wrong club, ended up at Chelsea and retired.
Yeah, made us not win a Champions League too at the same time.
And how do you feel about that last FA Cup?
Let's skip over that one, eh?
We'll skip over that one, right? Wait till we get you again, and another one. Another one.
So speaking of FA Cup, though, I also watched the English game on Netflix.
Huge soccer binge.
Oh, it was ridiculous. Everything I watched this week was soccer-based except for one thing.
I started to watch it. I haven't got through more than maybe a couple of the first episodes.
Oh, you didn't enjoy it or just dropped off?
Anne and I were watching it together. It just kind of didn't grab us at the start. You know when you need a show to really grab you? And It seemed like one of those ones I needed to force through. Maybe like a bit, and that's not to say it would be a bad show, because Breaking Bad, I had to start like 3 different times because it was just so slow moving. So yeah, it just didn't grab me at the start and make me want to go back and watch. It's not to say I won't go back and watch it.
Yeah, I think because I was in that soccer mode, it fit well. I think if you weren't prepared for it, it could be tough, considering it's a historical drama based on the origin of professional football.
Yeah, because I remember it was where they first started to pay players and move guys in and out and around and scout people, wasn't it?
Yeah, so the story revolves around Darwin FC, it's a team of working class men from a mill in the north of England, and they sort of have this running battle with Old Etonians, who were an upper class team that were made up of pretty much everyone on the FA board. So they were the guys that developed the foundations and the rules of football as we know it now.
Yeah.
And what happens is Fergus Suter and James Love are recruited by Darwin FC from Scotland, and they come down to England, and they're technically paid players, but because it's in the rules that everyone that plays football has to play it as just like, it's a game, it's not a profession, so they're not supposed to be paid. It's meant to be just an amateur game.
Yeah.
So these guys they're employed by the mill that owns Darwin FC, but really they're token jobs. They're just getting paid to play football. And it sort of sets in motion that idea of perhaps we should pay these guys to play this sport. We can get advertising revenue and we can bring all the players together, and then that's what starts to happen. You start to see teams building around, okay, I'm bringing this guy from here, this guy from over here. They build a professional team, and it's based on sort of true events with some narrative license, obviously. And it just shows how professional football came to be in England.
Crazy the idea that people, even now, like it's crazy the idea that locally people can get paid to play a sport, to do something fun and be good at it. It obviously makes the quality so much better when people can just spend their whole lives being part of that. It drives me a little bit insane when you hear that people are playing a sport like that and earning more than like the best doctors on the planet.
Yeah, that's a bit ridiculous.
It went from there where it started, but it just went so far.
Yeah, like to go from these guys who were all just, I think they were getting like, I don't remember what they said. I think it was like £4 a week.
Yeah.
Which obviously was a decent wage back then, but it's just like funny. Like these guys are getting £4 and now blokes are getting hundreds of thousands.
Yeah, they're getting like £10 a minute, these new guys. I mean, I remember seeing a thing a while back, and it was Zlatan Ibrahimovic, through the tax that got taken out of his wages alone, the Swedish army or whatever, they managed to buy like 4 tanks. So they were basically Zlatan's tanks.
Good.
Like, it's just crazy the amounts of money that go through these people. And then they end up trying to hide, like, was it Messi had like a tax fraud thing? Like they try and tuck their money away in different places to hide it so people can't take it from them. And just the amounts of money that changes.
Yeah, Messi got done. I think Ronaldo was being investigated. Like pretty much anyone that played in Spain at that time, then after Messi got found out, they were like, all right, we need to look at all of these guys.
Have you ever seen, there's a really good documentary that came out, would have been maybe like 2016, Planet FIFA?
No.
Oh, okay, if you're on a soccer binge, you need to watch this documentary, Planet FIFA. So it basically goes into how FIFA and like the world game, and them being the governing body of everything, how insanely corrupt FIFA is. So they have all their bases operate out of Switzerland because they can then have Swiss bank accounts that can't be touched. How they vote in and out people that are only doing things in the best interests of FIFA. I mean, even like the World Cup's a really prime example of that, where we got voted out, like Australia got voted out of having a World Cup in place of a country that has to have air conditioning systems and build stadiums and all the rest of it. Like,
majorly stitched up.
Yeah, insane, but there's just no way for them to kind of overturn what's happening. So it's just, everything happens to the highest bidder. It's all about the people in charge making money, and the game just has to suffer, and no one can really do anything about it.
Yeah, now that power base has been established, it's to the point where it's impossible to dismantle.
Yeah, and like they just vote in people that they know have the same mindsets as them and are going to put money in the places they want it. And if you don't basically get on board, they just kick you out and put someone else in that does what they want. Definitely watch it.
I'll definitely check that one out for next time.
Absolutely crazy when you look at it and you see how much they get away with.
Did you check anything else out this week?
Nothing hugely of note. I got really hooked on a Netflix show, The Floor is Lava, for a little while, which if you are looking for something completely ridiculous to watch, it's kind of like, it is what it says, kind of like one of those snakes on a plane sort of scenarios where it's in the title and, yep, there's snakes and it's on a plane. Well, this is a show where it's almost like, I don't remember, what was that show they had back in the day where the kids used to have to run through like the jungle obstacle courses and stuff? Do you remember that? Nickelodeon had it.
Oh, yeah, I know what it's called.
The name of it.
I downloaded a heap of the episodes ages ago when we lived together.
Yeah, well, whatever that show was, the one where they go these crazy obstacle courses, it's basically that for adults. It's kind of like they've just taken this whole entire massive room and basically just filled the floor out with what looks like lava. It's not water and it's not lava, but they've made it look really, really close. It's this slippery orange goo that's in there. And they do themed obstacle courses. So it's 3-person teams, and they've got to try and get from one end of the room to the other, like when you're a kid, and pretending that the floor is lava, and that they've got to make it across. They do like a museum theme. I think they do like Easter Island heads and pyramids and mummies and stuff. They do a bedroom theme on one of them. They do a space theme on another one, and they just change this obstacle course up. And it's kind of just like Ninja Warrior for average people. And I love it. I just love it. Like when you watch Ninja Warrior, like it is exciting to see how athletic people can be and how incredible it is that they're making it from here to there. But I would way rather just watch the guy that works at the local servo have a good crack at an obstacle course, take a few stacks and fall into the lava. Like that's what's more exciting to me. I don't know if that's me being a little bit dark in my sense of humor, or I seem to prefer the stacks on Ninja Warrior than I do the successes.
Yeah, where it feels like it's something achievable that you could possibly do yourself.
Yeah, this isn't even that. Like Survivor I watch and I think maybe I could possibly do that. You watch this and you're like 100% looking at these people, I could have just as good a go at this. And I think they intentionally pick people where they know they're probably going to stack it. And my favorite part of the show is so if they get to the end, as they're going, these stairs at the end kind of slowly sink into the lava. And it makes it harder and harder. So they kind of got to rush a little bit. And when they fall into the lava, I don't know if the producers have told the people on the show, if you fall in, pretend it's lava. But everybody that goes in, when they go in, they edit it so you never see them again. And all the other people, so there's one person falls in, 2 people left on the team, and they just go into these full meltdowns like the person has actually fallen into lava and that they're never going to see them again. And that's my favorite part. The stacks and the people going into the lava and they're going, no! So it sounded really bad. And as far as like quality of show goes, when you're talking about comparing it to something like Westworld, it is a terrible show. But if you're looking for something lighthearted to watch and just to watch average Joe stack it into some lava and pretend like it was real lava, it's pretty funny.
So that show you were talking about on Nickelodeon, Legends of the Hidden Temple.
Legends of the Hidden Temple, yeah. So it's kind of like Legends of the Hidden Temple for average adults.
Yes. So it's probably half of those people are probably people that were on Legends of the Hidden Temple in the day.
Yeah, or people like us that are like, man, I wish I got to be on Legends of the Hidden Temple. Put me on.
Yeah, I loved Legends of the Hidden Temple. That was an awesome show.
I always used to get super jealous of all the kids that got to go on any of those shows. Even like the crap ones, like Go Go Stop.
Yeah, the Australian ones that were pretty low budge.
Wasn't even a good show, and I was still fuming I never got to go on there.
Yeah, Go Go Stop was like purely luck-based half the time.
Yeah. And they didn't even, like, it wasn't even really good prizes. It was kind of just like a set of Malibu rollerblades from Kmart.
Yeah.
But still, would have liked to have won a set of Malibu rollerblades from Kmart.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I haven't really watched too much crazy stuff other than that.
That leads in nicely to the last thing I checked out was Pretending I'm a Superman, the documentary about the making of Tony Hawk's Pro Skater, the game.
I want to watch that.
It was really fun.
I want to watch it.
It comes out today, so Tuesday. Yesterday for everyone listening to the episode. And it shows how Activision made the game and then how Tony Hawk ended up sort of becoming involved, and then the subsequent impact the game had on not just skate culture, but taking skate culture into the mainstream. And the game sort of, looking back on it now, it propelled skateboarding into the mainstream and made it something that I think everybody now realizes is a career path for someone that's talented, and it's a legitimate sport. Like, it's in the Olympics now.
Yeah.
And then when Tony Hawk 2 came out, like, that just took it even further and had like professional skateboarders become household names. It took bands that were pretty much unknown into household names, and they've now built careers based on, they had that one song in the game.
Well, Tony Hawk, like, for me being, I reckon I would have been maybe year 6 or year 5 or something when it first came out, Tony Hawk 1. That then, from then on, dictated so much of, like, I started skateboarding, like, hard, and got the same sort of stuff that they had, and the same shoes and the same skateboards. Started listening to those bands. I started wearing the same clothes, and that probably lasted me a good 6 years of life. Just changed because of that Tony Hawk start, where I liked listening to punk music all of a sudden. I liked being a skateboarder all of a sudden and doing what they were doing. It changed not just how I played video games, but definitely what I was doing outside of video games, which is something that no other, like, I didn't play Street Fighter and then go out and fight people in the street.
Yeah, and you don't play COD now and decide to go and shoot people. Like, it's just crazy how that one game had such a monumental impact on so many kids' lives.
Yeah, life out's like huge inside of the PlayStation, but also massive outside of the PlayStation. And it got me, like, more active. It's like, you think video games, it's just you're gonna sit there and do nothing. That video game really got me outside and being heaps active skateboarding rather than just sitting there playing. I did play it an awful lot, but it definitely got me outside as well. I'm keen to play. I nearly pre-ordered it just because you got the demo on the new one that's coming out.
Yep.
So you got the warehouse level as a pre-order, but I think I'm just going to try and hold out and just wait for the whole thing at once.
The way they've set up that demo pre-order bonus thing makes no sense to me. Like, if I'm pre-ordering the game, I'm obviously interested. So why are you giving me a demo? The demo should have just been free for everyone, and then people have been like, oh, this actually feels right. It's not broken or in any way. Like, yeah, I'm going to put down my money.
Yeah, I feel like what they're trying to bank on is that maybe if they just gave out the demo for free, you would have that hit of nostalgia without paying. And that's what a lot of people like you or I would be buying it for, is that nostalgia of, oh my God, I can't believe I'm playing this again, but in way better graphics.
Yeah,
but if you can just get that little hit out of the warehouse level, which you probably can, you probably wouldn't spend the $80 on the whole game.
Well, it's not even 80.
Oh, this is my problem. Remember we talked about last time where you're going to buy things off the Xbox store or the PlayStation store and they set their own price?
Yep.
Yeah, that almost got me.
After watching this documentary, my hype levels are at an all new level, all new heights for this game.
Someone get him a birdhouse.
So I jumped on Amazon, pre-ordered for $49.
Oh, that's heaps better.
Such a good price. I saw it, I was like, $49. Yep, jumping on that one, and hopefully Amazon have a habit of occasionally sending stuff out early.
Okay.
September 4, I'm on September 3 delivery. But
the other game that got released today that I'm really interested in, this probably shows my change from back in the day, skateboarding and Tony Hawk, to now, but the new Flight Simulator got released today, the 2020 Microsoft Flight Sim, it only just came out on PC, but I am hanging, like, that's a big driving force in me getting the new Xbox rather than the new PlayStation, even though I'm pretty loyal. But that new Flight Simulator just looks insane, and from all the reviews and stuff that have come out about it, it's just crazy.
It looks ridiculous. Like, it looks so lifelike.
Well, rather than having a lot of it being loaded into a hard drive, it relies heavily on your internet connection, and it kind of streams it rather than having it saved and loading it. and you can do so. They've hooked it up with Bing Maps, and you can fly, and it uses all of the Bing Map data, so you can fly over completely real layouts. You can fly over your own house, and it looks like your own house.
That's pretty cool.
Crazy. You can just take a Boeing Dreamliner and just fly it over your own house for the fun of it and do whatever. But it's even to the point where it does real-time weather data from Bing. So if you want to fly over your own house and it's raining at your house today, in the game it will also be raining.
Oh.
Yeah, it looks absolutely incredible. So I assume that they're maybe waiting. It didn't seem to be out for the current Xbox, so I'm assuming that they're kind of waiting to release it on the new console that has a bit more power to it.
Yeah, they probably need that extra power.
Yeah, because it looks like people are having to upgrade their PCs and stuff just for it. But probably shows the difference in my age now. I'm looking forward to be able to sit there and fly a plane from
Sydney to LA for...
Yeah, just strap me in for 17 hours of just boring level flight, rather than doing a Christ air over a huge gap and trying to get a secret videotape.
Yeah. I think the funniest part about the Tony Hawk game is, like, before it came out, game publishers were literally like, nah, skateboarding, that's a fad, that's not going to work, that's not marketable. But all the companies that turn that down, they now feel stupid, don't they?
Yeah, well, I saw on the other day, it was just some random post, but I didn't realize that, Activision, like the company that make it, they were ex-Atari developers.
Yep.
They got treated badly at Atari and they all quit at once and came out and made Activision.
Yeah, they made all these random games, and Tony Hawk was literally their first, like, sport or gaming, like, skateboarding game. And they nailed it. They got Tony involved, and Tony was like, yeah, no, this is the one that feels right. And
yeah,
apparently he was, like, super hands-on to make sure it felt right and made sure the physics and the names of all the moves and everything were correct. So
it was good. Well, the physics was a big part of it. It was realistic to a sense, but it wasn't overly, like, I think games sometimes get too caught up in extreme sports games, particularly. Like, if it's over realistic, like, it's not as fun anymore. You got to try and balance on everything over the top, and you got to do this crazy combination of buttons or whatever, and it's really difficult. That just kind of made it. It was a really good mix between challenging, but also just fun and easy to do.
Yeah, I think that's when Skate started to come out, and it was a little bit more sim-like, and then that divided the market. So it'll be interesting to see how the remake of Tony Hawk 1 and 2 goes. From the sounds of it, it's going to be another big hit.
Yeah, sign me up. Shout out Amazon. I'm looking for a Tony Hawk game.
Jump on it. We have to talk about it next time.
I'm in.
That's going to be my weekend once it comes out.
Bye-bye soccer binge. Hello skateboard binge.
Mm-hmm. So what is your top recommendation for the week?
It's got to be Resistance, just for the different story and just a different take on something that most people probably haven't heard of, and definitely I hadn't heard of, so I recommend Resistance.
Wow, I was half expecting Westworld, but...
Westworld's going to be around for us. Yeah, something different.
For me, it is Ted Lasso. Just funny, easy to watch, from the producers of Scrubs, so you know it's going to be pretty quality. And sign me up for Friday. I'll be watching that episode as soon as it drops again. Thank you for listening to the commentary booth. If you enjoyed the show, please remember to rate, review, and subscribe on iTunes. You can follow me on social media at JamieAppsMedia, and you can follow Buddy on Instagram at a.b_CSEE. The Commentary Booth is a fan-funded production of Jamie Apps Media. You can support the podcast alongside our magazine Jam Zine over on Patreon at patreon.com/Jamie Apps Media. The following people supported at the Jam publisher level or higher, and you cannot fathom how incredibly appreciative we are for their support. Brian and June Hart, Courtney Paulson, Tracy Apps.